The John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised.
Worldwide and out to the greater universe, you're listening to the John Lebang Show.
Greetings, Earthlings, and alert the media. The banger is on the microphone. Well, Comey had his testimony this week. May had a bad June. It's been a full news cycle, if you're into that sort of thing. And as most listeners know, we are into that sort of thing, even though I'm not really into wanting to discuss most of it, at least not here in the beginning. After last week's show, I had a busy week, and I'm surprised to be on the radio right now. So when I'm sitting here going, okay, what am I going to do the show? I'm like, well, I don't have a lot of time for show prep this week. Although we didn't need a whole lot of show prep because a lot of the main news was pretty main. The Comey thing, it was all over the place. All you had to do was turn on the radio, and you could listen to Comey testify. We'll talk about that at some point. Britain had an election. It didn't go exactly as planned for them or for the people in power. So that's an interesting turn of events. I don't know what's going to come of it yet. It's still early. You know, the news, they exaggerate things. They make it so you want to read it. So they get people involved in the story somehow, and they go for the emotional tie, right? But really, we don't know anything. Then, of course, we had the Exxon deal. The Exxon hiding climate change statistics that they had internally or whatever, and they used a different set of numbers. It's like, you know, the climate change issue is a subject that we speak about frequently on the show. And just the concept that most people don't understand that the climate has always changed boggles my mind sometimes. I mean, we live through the climate. And somehow they've tied the climate to environmentalism. Because they're closely related, but if you have an oil spill, nobody wants an oil spill. ExxonMobil doesn't want an oil spill. The environmentalists don't want an oil spill. I don't want an oil spill. Nobody wants an oil spill. But it happens. Things happen unexpectedly, and you have to deal with it. And because oil is a major resource on the planet, I mean, coffee's a major resource on the planet, but if we had a coffee spill off the coast of, Portugal or something, who would care, right? Who would care? Oh, so we get a lot of coffee in the water. Fish would be hyper for a while. Speaking of water, the Weather Channel was promoting this guy who does underwater sculptures to give the aquatic life safe places, safe havens for them to expand their pool, their gene pool. To give them a place, like a coral reef, but now it's a man-made thing. So we're man-making things underwater. It's funny because they're calling it artwork because, it's a form of art. I guess it's underwater. Only the fish are going to see it. And if some people dive under the water and take pictures or something, I mean, that's it. But it's being hailed by the Weather Channel and the artist. And I'm not taking anything away from the artist per se, but it's being hailed as, good for the environment, it's giving the aquatic life somewhere to go to help them live. And I'm like, they're going to find a way to live regardless. All right. And if they don't, they're going to get eaten by a bigger fish. What's the deal? Fish have, it's like man thinks that everything they do affects everything. And really, man is just a byproduct of a lot of other things that had happened. And we're lucky to be here. And we may be the most advanced species on the planet. But we do not, or we're not, gods. I mean, sure, we can create things and all that. I mean, that's another day, another subject we don't even want to get into today. But just because an artist puts some piece of underwater artwork there and the fish are going to like it, that is hailed as, it's saving the environment, it's good for the aquatic life. Dude, the fish are going to find a way to survive. They always have. Fish were here before we were, as far as any of us can tell. It's like the environment. Okay, outside of this weather modification that the governments of the world are engaging in, outside of the geoengineering, you and me and all the people around and our neighbors, what are we doing to affect the climate? Nothing. We can affect the environment, I guess, if we're pouring oil all over our gas or our grass or whatever. But in general, we don't do anything. We drive those evil cars that puts out carbon emissions. Everything on the planet is carbon-based, or pretty much everything. We're carbon-based life forms. But too much carbon is bad, I guess. I don't know. The logic in the whole political twist to the environment and climate boggles my mind that people don't see. It's what's going on. You live in the environment. It's like the chemtrail thing that I talk about. Years ago, if you're old enough like myself, the young kids, the millennials, they probably don't. This has been happening for a while. So they think that's normal. And once we're all gone and if they keep doing it, everybody beyond our generations, the ones that didn't have the chemtrails, everybody beyond that is just going to think that's natural. But I'm here to tell you that stuff didn't happen. And there are days right now that there are no chemtrails in the sky. One day you'll look up, it's beautiful blue sky. Next thing you know, there's lines all over it. Not any clouds made by nature. And here we go, man trying to, again, they think they can do everything. And maybe through technology we will be able to control everything, including each other. That's a wonderful future. I'm sure everybody is eager for that. And I get on all this because there's an artist who does some kind of sculptures underwater. And it's being hailed as, good for the aquatic life to help them out. It's like the artwork in Detroit, the graffiti. It's usually called graffiti, but somehow they call it artwork. I think that what's it called, the Heidelberg Project or whatever. A lot of people hail that as something. I don't even know. It's giving popularity, and it's a reflection on the city and not what I see. And I'm not, I'm going to probably get criticized for this, but whatever. I just see a bunch of junk and spray paint and this and that. I mean, it's just another part of the ghetto to me. People go down there and check it out. oh, we're going to go look at this. And I'm not trying to offend the artist that did that. It's just these things that's what they are. I guess I prefer that over, other things. At least that, has some lasting memories. I mean, but if that's what you want to call it, guess I better not get into what I was just thinking. That would be bad. Sometimes on the radio here you discuss the pop culture and you discuss your thoughts on it. And you have to balance yourself because you can, in your eyes, myself anyways, I don't think I can cross too many lines because words are words, right? If there weren't words, we wouldn't be able to communicate. So sometimes certain words communicate better than others, get the point across better. And they may be harsh to some people. They may even cut a little bit. But they're words, But you have to be very careful because you don't want to say something that's going to offend a whole lot of people. Or they're going to take it the wrong way. So you got to stop yourself and, put yourself in check. It's like, oh, well, I better stop there before I get too far. I mean, there is a point to the hate mail. You can only accept so much hate mail. You get more than, 50 a day sometimes, then you might want to start thinking, well, I may, not that I'm censoring myself. I'm just like, okay, I don't want the headache of all the hate mail, I guess. Some people take it very seriously, and some people will hate you for these things. That's why guys like Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck and alike, they have bodyguards, right? Because they say things, and because they're so popular, so many people know of them, there's actually nut jobs that'll go want to kill them, beat them up, do something to them because of their words. Even though that other person who would do those sort of things, I'm sure they use their words the way they want to as well. There used to be an old saying, we're way beyond that in this soft PC world, but there used to be a saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Basically, it means you can say whatever you want, dude, it ain't going to bother me. I'm pretty good at that. I've taken that life approach. I tell you, early on in my career, when I was learning the whole rock and roll band and how to build a band and how to write songs, and my first couple albums, especially my second one, there was some super bad criticism of that. And if I was soft emotionally, man, I might have quit rock and roll completely over that. I mean, we had some good reviews too, but there were some horrendous. The second album took a beating in the local press. We'll just say that the local music magazines of the time, which there were 2 or 3, I believe, at the time. At one time, the metro area here, Detroit, had a pretty good, thriving underground journalism, or at least music journalism group. I think we had Jamrag and the Metro Entertainment Scene, and we still have the Metro Times. There were a bunch of different little rags around that you could really keep up on the music scene. Because of the digital age, there's probably more online, rags or websites that cover the local music scene, except it's harder for people to know about them because you can't go to your local CD store anymore. I mean, there is Rock of Ages here still in Garden City. That's about the last one I know of. But you can't, there'd be CD stores, cassette stores, record stores all over the place. I remember the Record Exchange in Wyandotte. We should get into that one day. That was awesome, going to check out old time records, but we could get into all that. But You could go to these record stores and find music magazines all over the place. Little, some were 20 pages, some were only a couple pages, some were big, some were small. It didn't matter. But you could go to the local CD store, the local record store, even a couple other places like the music stores, guitar stores and all that, and you'd find these, and you could find out about them, and then you could, oh wow, look at this, and then you could send your stuff to them, and you can go from there. Now, because of the online thing, you can't just randomly find something. What you're doing, you have to search for it. You have to deliberately be searching for things most of the time. So we might get into more of this when we come back, ladies and gentlemen. As you can hear, the music is playing in the background. That means John needs to shut up so you can hear our sponsors. When we return, we'll talk about what we're just talking about, or maybe we'll get into some of the news. I don't know. Tonight's a random one, I think. Be back soon.
Don't think about touching that dial.
That would be a mistake.
The John Lebang Show will be right back after this.
That's guaranteed, man. Like some good Thai stick.
If you are elderly, disabled, receiving SSI or Medicaid, and you have a medical need or require assistance with daily housework, shopping, grooming, medication, you may qualify for housekeeping at no cost. Call now. VIP Home Healthcare, 248-579-3805. VIP Home Healthcare, there when you need them. That's 248-579-3805.
Check out the new book from Derek Shelmerdine,
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
It tells the story of rock and roll from its roots right up until the mid-70s punk.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Not just the music, but also the events that shaped the music.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
It includes the backgrounds to recording sessions, singles, album releases, births and deaths, epic concerts, and festivals.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Shelmerdine has made a painstaking effort to document pretty much every event that would prove significant in shaping popular music.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Purchase the book at www.rockandrollunraveled.com. Follow him at Twitter at R&R Unraveled, and look him up on Facebook at Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
By author Derek Shelmerdine.
Available now. You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
It's hydroponic radio for your brain, man.
Feel smarter yet? All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I was discussing the local music magazines, and then I started becoming really nostalgic during the break because of the record stores. Because I was a music connoisseur. I would go to record stores, small ones especially, and go through the sections of music randomly, and then I would see some kind of album cover and just grab it, pull it out and go, never hearing these bands. See, it's way too easy now to find music, and most of the music isn't very good. And maybe that's why it's easy to find it. In those regards, they shove it in your face now. You get ads on Facebook. That's killer too. I mean, you go to Facebook because it's free and you just want to hang out and talk with people and just socialize with people. And you get ads thrown in your face now. It's not commercial free like it used to be. Just like some of the cable networks. You buy into cable because it's commercial free, right? At least that was the concept back in the day. Back in the day, you would, commercial free, man, we're just going to watch it because you had paid into it. And somehow they distributed the money to all these other networks. I don't know how they do it. I always thought it was wacky that you had to buy a package and take channels you didn't want. Just give me a list of channels. I'll tell you which ones I want. And then charge me accordingly. I don't want 500 channels. That's why I don't even have cable right now. As far as like television is concerned. I don't watch it. The TV. I mean, sure, the people are talking about, oh, there's so many good shows. Everything I've seen so far, every show that people have said, oh, that's a great show, I've watched it once or twice, and I'm like, really? Okay. A lot of people were the big fans of The Walking Dead. I watched it. I was like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, didn't even interest me. I was ready to walk away from it like within a half an hour because of it just didn't interest me. But zombies don't. A lot of people like the zombie thing. So I'm not holding that against you out there. If you like Walking Dead, that's great, I guess. But I was shown Game of Thrones, and I didn't like that one, and everybody I know likes that one. I just thought, it's a soap opera that looks like Lord of the Rings. Whoa, okay. Geez, just give me Days of Our Lives in Old English garb. Why not? Why not? So we could kill a little bit more on there. That's just funny. People like it, though. See, that got me off, though, because I was talking about the record stores. I happen to do that if this is the first time you're listening to the John LeBang Show. I happen to just, I get in on a subject, and then it brings up something else, and then I divert, and then I find my way back to the subject eventually. And then some days, that's all I do is talk about one subject. But so, I would go through the record stores to get back to what I was talking about before. Excuse me. It's allergies, folks. Allergy seasons is hard at work on old John here. So the record stores, to make this long story even longer, I would go there and I would just randomly, I'd pick a genre. A lot of times it was rock and metal, but sometimes I would go somewhere else. And I would just go through the record stores and I'd pick a record that I just was like, whoa, that's cool album cover. Because the album cover would draw you in. That was part of the commercial basis for putting a really cool album cover out. Because it would get people randomly grabbing that going, wow, that's a cool album. And you would take it home. And most of the time you'd start liking the music. Seriously. The millennials and the future generations, you guys are missing out on a lot of really cool things because they've modernized everything and they simplified everything, and you lose out on the little things like going to a record store, searching through records, finding a random group that you never heard of before. Chances are it might be the only the record there in the whole you might have it be the only person in the whole state to have that. Because back in the day, record stores would grab random stuff from here and there. I remember going to certain record stores and asking them, can you get AC/DC albums from Australia? Because they had a different set of albums out in Australia than they had here in the U.S. And you would pay great amounts of money to get those, what would be collector's items. Because you'd be the only one to have that in your whole area. I remember I had AC/DC had 3 albums out in Australia that were modified or changed a little bit. They reorganized into 2 albums for the U.S. and one didn't come out till way later, like after Bon Scott died. But I'd found out about these albums because when you liked the band back in the day, you found ways to research them, just probably like you do today, find out a little bit about them. And I went to my local record store, Record Exchange, and ordered these things because I didn't know how to do it. The record store, that was what the record store was for. Now, you just go to YouTube. You don't even have to own it. But there's something to be said about owning some of these things. It's like, I'm the only one that has it. Now, everybody can have it, and it's not as cool anymore. If everybody can do it, if everybody can have it, the stuff isn't cool anymore. And we've lost that element. And that's one that I don't think we'll ever get back because we've digitized everything. We've sanitized, or we're in the process of sanitizing the entire world. Every bit of information, music, whatever, books, everything is going to be nice and sanitized in the future. And everybody will be able to get it, and there'll be nothing special about it. And all the cool things in life, the really cool things, I'm not talking technology, okay? Technology is cool to a point, but then it starts taking away from what you really are. It was the cool stuff, like you owning something that nobody else had. There's a few things like that still. Collectors do collect things, but for the little guy, see, this isn't. I'm not talking about the collectors with millions and millions and millions of dollars. I'm talking about the little guy who likes to have a collection as well, or used to like to be a collector. And there was baseball cards and hockey cards and comic books and records, and there were all these sorts of things that the little geek groups would get in. And if you had something that nobody else had, it was like special, and everybody wanted what you had. And when you couldn't find it, or when they couldn't find it, they would, they would like ask to read your comic book, or they would come over and say, "Dude, can you play that album for me? Can I mean, there were times where it'd be like, "Can you borrow?" And like those things you never gave away, right? You're like, no, I'll come on over and I'll play it for you. I remember the one CD, the first record, the first AC/DC record from Australia that I ever got was High Voltage, which had a dog peeing on this electrical power grid, or whatever you want to call it. It was a really cool album cover. Had 8 songs. They later released a bunch of that stuff on 74 Jailbreak. That was like in 84 when they did that, so it was some years later, almost 10 years after the album came out. Pretty close to it. And some of the best songs, I mean, that AC/DC wrote, and some of the most different songs were on that. And all my friends who liked AC/DC would want you to come over, because you couldn't transfer it. Like back in the day, it wasn't. I mean, they had cassette players, but it was never the same. When you copied something on cassette, it was muffled a little bit. It just wasn't perfect. Cassettes, even though they were a cool thing, just like the 8-track, cassettes were there was a lot of problems with cassettes. Records, still to this day, there is no better sound on the MP3s, WAV files, whatever. A record, in my humble opinion, is the best way to listen to music. Just that little from the needle on the record. It's just awesome. And so all my friends wanted to listen to that, and I'm making this story even longer. And they would come over, and we'd play the stuff, and we'd talk, and just listening. We'd sit down as friends, listening to a whole album at home, because it wasn't like you could put the record player on your bicycle and ride around the block listening to it, and you couldn't. There wasn't a record player Walkman. It'd be a big Walkman, eh? And those things never worked. I mean, they worked for like 6 months at best. They'd always eat up your tapes. Yeah, cassettes were... they made a fortune on cassettes, because you'd always have to replace them. That's another thing that's probably hurting the music industry. Once you get an MP3, it's yours forever, unless you do something like lose it. Maybe people do lose their music if they keep it on their phone or something. Because technology, they've condensed the computer into a little phone. And because most people don't use a computer for the purpose, computers are really made for to simplify your life, to do spreadsheets, and you can really work so you don't have to write on paper all the time. You can save your work. But a lot of people use the computers as a form of television, and they use it to entertain themselves. They use it for video game type purposes. They use it for socializing on social networking. So it's, that's why they've condensed these computers down into these little smartphones, as they call them. Smartphones that are probably smarter than the person operating it. I have a lot of issues. This week at the paint store, it was stupidly nuts how people came in and they don't know what they want. People never know what they want. Then instead of having it ready on their smartphone because they're not smart enough to remember it, it takes them 5 minutes to look something up on their smartphone because they don't even know how to work the smartphone. So whatever. We're up against another break, folks, as I'm rambling on, and I'm really not getting to anything, I guess, that's deemed newsworthy. But, we'll get to that at some point, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned as the John Lebang Show rolls on.
Don't go anywhere. The John Lebang Show will be right back.
You'd be crazy to change the dial now.
CRRM, CarePoint Billing Services. Their billers and managers are all dedicated to working for you to increase your profits. For more information, call CRRM at 248-579-3805. CRRM, CarePoint Billing Services. And I'd like to welcome our new sponsor, Pane in the Glass, commercial and residential window cleaning. For a beautiful, sparkling shine that's crystal clear, call Pane in the Glass Window Cleaning. You can find them on Facebook at Pane in the Glass.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
Forces of darkness, the treasonable maggots who collaborate, must, can, and will be wiped from the face of the earth.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are galloping along this hour, moving through the linear time that we spend here each and every week to get on maybe subjects that are less relevant to me per se and discuss what's maybe out there in the world. I thought I'd get into this mainstream manufactured news piece. So here we go. We have MSNBC here and the BBC News. BBC News, gotta love them. They're promoting on one of their articles here. It's a little older, but I've been saving this for a rainy day, so to speak. Although it's not raining, but you know what I mean. They're suggesting, this article is suggesting, title of it, World Now 0.28% more peaceful, according to some research. And you're thinking, oh, the world's in better shape, according to some research? It's more peaceful? And then you analyze that with your brain, not even to get into the article there. You're sitting here and you're thinking, well, let's see. There's constant Trump protests, and those people are violent. Okay. Well, let's see. That I guess that doesn't count. Terrorism seems to be happening all over. I guess that doesn't count. Wars. We're bombing in like 7 countries. That doesn't count all the other countries out there that are messing around with this and that and the other thing. And according to the BBC and this Sydney-based research group, we're 0.28%. Now, before I get into the guts of this, I want you to just think about that. As a headline from the BBC and MSNBC, 0.2%. 28%. Not even a percent better. Not even nothing. It's really nothing. What's 0.28% of a dollar? Not going to be much. If it's a penny, it's even less. And we're going to count it as a penny. But whatever. But when you read the article, so this is the point I'm getting at with the mainstream news. They tell you it's 0.28% more peaceful. Like, that's a headline. That's supposed to be like, ooh, the world's more peaceful now. Everybody become hippies. Ooh, everybody smoke pot and have free love, everybody. But then you read the article and you hear, levels of peace around the world have improved slightly for the first time since the Syrian war began. But harmony has decreased in the U.S., and terrorism records have increased, a Sydney-based think tank has found. The Institute for Economics and Peace published its Global Peace Index on Thursday for the 10th year running. Their report found that the world became 0.28 more peaceful over the last year. This was driven by a drop in state-sponsored violence, so governments are performing a little bit less of that, although they could be just doing it in hiding, and we could have a 0.28 increase in the index of peace. Maybe. But this same report says terrorism is up. We know that. We don't need a report to know that. You could watch this stupid television. You could read the news. You can go to the Drudge Report, the Banger Report, right there on the John Lebang Show, where you can just go to the show prep there. And you can see that there is no such thing as a 0.28% decrease or increase in peacefulness on the planet. No, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. And you get the mainstream manufactured news, and that's where I'm going with all this. Not only they talk about the guts of it, but they grab the smallest little positive thing in there. 0.28% more peaceful on the planet. Like that's a big deal. Except they're obviously not counting the terrorism. They're not counting how people are protesting. See, that doesn't count. Protesting Donald Trump, and if you tear up stuff, that doesn't count towards violence to these sort of people. That's normal behavior. This research called for more money to be spent on peace building. Peace building. I'd like to have a peace building. These guys are like the modern day hippies or something, man. They could be hanging out there with their glasses on. Peace and love, man. Let's make it a little bit more than 2.8% more peaceful, man. Spend money on peace, man. Exactly. What does that mean? Spending money on peaceful building. What does that mean? What are you going to go to everybody and you're going to pay them to be nice to each other? You're going to have to pay me a whole lot. I'm telling you that right now. Not a lot, because I'm sure they don't think what I'm saying here is peaceful. How is money going to make the world more peaceful? I have no idea. See, these are the stupid people of the planet. They think they're so smart. See, these are supposedly college-educated people. And trust me, I was with a bunch last night, actually. A bunch of college-educated people. And they're all living in their heyday because none of them are pursuing the career that they actually went for. College for. They went to college for a particular career. And they're stuck in the retail industry, the wholesale industry. I went to school for this and that and the other thing. Huh? Oh, so you're saying your glory years are behind you, huh? That's what kills me, That's the problem. Sure, you go to college, and I'm not putting you down for getting a supposed higher education. Okay? I'm not opposed to that at all. But to think life experience is less important than that college experience is just postponing life for a little while. They're setting you up so you know how to do the procedures, so when you get a job, you can just follow easily. You've already been trained by the college and you paid for the training versus the companies that pay for the training. That's why they want you to go to college. Not because they want smart people that are related to the field. Oh, sure, some industries, yes. But let's take, for instance, the paint industry. They love They love people with college degrees. Oh, bachelor's degree, master's degree. They love it. Except nobody goes to college to be a paint expert. How many people go to college to be a paint expert? So those people that are getting hired by the paint companies and other companies like that, I'm not trying to pick on the paint industry in particular, because there are plenty of other industries that pick up people who have degrees, masters, bachelors, whatever, that are not related to the field that they finally end up in. So you watch people get passed over because they have life experience and they've been in the industry forever. Oh, because somebody fresh out of college has a degree. Oh, let's push them through. Their quality. See, that's what it is. The corporations do not want to train you. They want you to pay for your own training, basic training, so that when you can't make it in the field that you wanted to be in, and that happens to be a majority of people, very few rise to the top of the industry that they wanted to go in. That's because there's not too many places up there at the top. And you can start on the ground floor and then you end up hitting a wall somewhere. And I don't even know how I got on this topic. We're just zooming along today. And again, I'm not putting down people with college educations. But see, they look down on people who don't have college educations. And that's supposed to make them not as smart. Well, I've seen what they teach people on college. I've seen the politically correct notions that are on display down at the college campuses. These people aren't any brighter than the people that just went to work right away. Now, some people just aren't smart. We know that. But the way they're pushing people through college now, those people are getting into college. Because everybody's got to be treated equally. And we got to give a trophy to everybody. And instead of college being for the best of the best to improve them, it's become, let's get as many people in, because it's like college is almost like the insurance industry. Just bring people in so we can make lots and lots and lots of money. And if we can't make lots of money, we go to the government to give us help. The insurance agencies call it subsidies. The college industries call it grants. It's the same thing. Beg for money, charge a whole bunch, make a boatload so that the people in the upper echelons of those industries can live comfortably and nice, while you, the little peasant, who thinks you're going to go to college to better yourself so you can get in the industry of your choice, when you get out in the workplace and you find out there's not enough spots in that industry, and you have to take your degree into a field you didn't know you could do, you didn't even want to be into it, and then you end up in a job that you never intended to end up in. Of course, there are some people that continue on through college and actually go into those careers and stick with it. But a lot of people who go to college get their little bachelor's degree. They may be in the field for a little while, and then where they finish up, where this had nothing to do with it. But because they had a degree, these companies think it's, these people are better or smarter or what. They're just trained. They go, oh, we have somebody that can follow procedure. We have somebody who is a good memorizer. We'll take him over a person who might be a hard worker. I've seen people, best freaking workers in the world, but they get passed up because they either don't have the college degree or they don't brown nose. That's a whole other story. And where we are at right now with this politically correct world It's... Boy, see, I have to stop myself because I can go into subjects that are going to get me into a lot of trouble. And good thing there's a break coming up because I was about ready to step into it and tell you how I feel about something. And boy, that would have caused all kinds of trouble. Sometimes you're saved by the bell, like I am now. Be right back, folks.
Where do you think you're going?
Hey, man, don't go anywhere, man. The John Lebang Show will be right back.
Are you crazy? Fans, do you need a video for your brand new song but don't have a lot of money? Then contact John Lebang. His reasonable rates, professional look, and fast turnarounds will help get that song off the ground. Contact him at jlebang.com. If you want to contact the John Lebang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John Lebang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John Lebang Show.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As we're winding down this week's first hour, I think we're going to save the James Comey testimony for the second hour this week. We'll get a little more in depth into the news. Then we also have the contest, this week's contest, where you can win a fabulous prize from the John Lebang Show. That'll be in the second hour this week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. If they're on different days on the station you're listening to us on, then make sure to schedule and find out when that second hour is being played, so that way you can catch the John Lebang Show and get the chance at that prize for this week. I almost gave everybody the week off because we're beginning heavy work on the production of the next big old radio drama here, the next story, the next installment in the Banger universe. And everybody's hard at work trying to get their lines together, and we got pre-production happening right now, and it's pretty exciting because I think this might be the best one yet. The overarching concept of the story, and of course I can't tell you about it. I'm just going to tease you here. I'm just going to make you want to know more because we're rotten here sometimes on the John Lebang Show, and we tease you. And the overarching story, the basic concept of it is incredible. We're going to be announcing the name real shortly in the next installment. We've been tinkering with it. I think we've finally come up and we've got the name locked down for the title. I should call it the title, not the name, the title. You know, you get in real trouble here if you just misspeak a little bit. Then all of a sudden people misunderstand you. And because I'm wired a little different than everybody else, I sometimes get into Yoda speak where I put words the way maybe Yoda would put it. And that confuses normal people, the people out there who are trained at everything, doom, doom, doom. They're really good in English. They're like, dude, what the heck kind of sentence was that? And I'm like, well, that's John's sentencing, and you better deal with it. Because I get my point across. Oh, busy week behind us. And after today, after this hour and next hour, we get to slow down a little bit for, not much, but we get to slow down a little bit and kind of get our bearings together. We fell behind on the website, and we're going to be updating that soon. And I apologize, folks. There's just so much to do with the radio broadcast and the website and the promotion. And then I've still got to find ways to generate income so that we can keep the whole thing rolling along here. And so sometimes I fall behind on certain things because there's no help. All Shady and Abu, Wilbur, none of those guys want to ever help. Can't even get them to go out and do the garden stuff, but it's always me out there. And so when you're doing everything yourself, sometimes you lag behind, so I apologize that for the website. That will be updated fully, and we'll be rocking and rolling back on track there. You know, there's a few things to talk about here in the last little bit, but nothing's like real interesting, and I may save them for, well, maybe not. Let's get to this, because this is something that, you know, if this was a entirely male situation, it would cause some kind of fervor or furor, whatever the frickin' word is. It would cause some issues. But apparently over in Hollywood, there's a club called the Skirt Club. And it's in New York, I guess, too. I'm sorry. And it's a high glamour sex party for women only. So if you're one of those lesbian ladies out there, or if you're curious about whatever, you can go to Hollywood or New York and go to the Skirt Club, and they can have giant sex parties there, and you can, I guess, test your curiosity out that way. I don't know if it's a safe environment to have sex. I would, if I was a woman, pass on that whole weird situation. And the world's getting weird. We're having these things pop up, and more people talk about sex and sex this and that. I mean, I'm starting to think, like, do people not have enough going on in their life that sex is the only thing that enters their mind? Because if you're busy, if you got things going, if your mind is constantly working on projects, there's not a lot of time to think about sex. And I'm not, I'm not this kind of guy that goes, a prude kind of person. Sex is cool, man. But really, I mean, we've become a culture based around sex. That's why we talk, when we talk about gay people, we say, oh, gay people. He's gay, or he's this, or why? It doesn't matter what anybody's sexual preference is. We don't need to know that at all. There's no purpose in it. Nobody needs to know my sexual preference. Nobody needs to know this person or that person or anybody's sexual preference. But we've got to the point where that's all we talk about. Or race. It's sexual preference or race. Those are the only two things that are accepted now that people want to talk about. We can't separate from them. And that bothers me, because there's so much more to people than just those two things. And if those things are what's dominating how we describe people, we're in big trouble. We're not making this planet a better place. We've got to watch out. It was a nice show up to this point. We were talking about life stories, and we even got into some other things there, college education and all. And I'm on the verge of ranting about this sex party place called the Skirt Club in Hollywood in New York. If you want to go, not telling you not to go, but we're obsessed with sex. We're obsessed with race. You think these things are going to go away? Well, nobody wants sex to go away. But then there's so much talk about hating on people who are racists and this and that, but that's all we talk about. Well, no wonder we can't get past racism, because that's all people talk about is race. Race and sex and race. We might as well have a sex race. There might be a good porno for some inspiring porn director. There, write a story, sex race, and just do a show like that. And again, I'm not poo-pooing sex or anything like that. I like it as much as anybody else. But for us to be constantly obsessed with the subjects, it's like there's so much more to life than this stuff, and people are obsessed with it. And it gets us distracted, and it keeps us away from, a lot of times, especially the people who that's all that's on their mind. They watch porn all day, and they can't get sex off their mind. It's like, you can do something else, dude. There's so much to do in life. And the world's out there. All you got to do is leave your front door. Just walk. You don't have to even get in your car. Just walk out there and do something. It's like the artist I was talking about earlier. It's like, who's going to see your art? We're only going to see it through pictures. We're never going to be able to see in real life. The fish, well, I guess the fish are going to have some nice artwork. They're going to be swimming around going, oh, that's nice, I guess. That's interesting. Those humans do weird things, don't they? Damn right they do. Why are they building that stuff? Why are they making a Volkswagen Bug sculpture under the water with some dude on the hood? Well, those humans are funny, you know. They do those sort of things. Hey, Joan, you ready for me yet? Yeah, come on in. Shady, what's going on? Oh, nothing really. Just got back from the Holly Fest. You guys went without me? Well, yeah, you had your radio show to do. Yeah, but still, man, you could have waited for me. We could have went together. Look at how late it is, Joan. You're not going to go at this time of night. You should have went during the day. No, this is a real bummer, Shady. Why don't you just shut up? I'm assuming you have a cool or uncool. Yeah, and I was assuming you were going to use the cool intro.
This hour's cool or uncool is
going to record stores back in the day. How did you know I was talking about that? Well, we had you on the radio, Joan. What do you mean, in the car? That's right, Joan. We had you on the radio. We didn't know that could happen until we saw Robert Bruce's video listening to you on the radio. And we said, really? We could turn you on? So we turned you on running the car and we were listening to you there. That's interesting. Now, can you get to the callers? People want to talk about this. All right, our first call comes from Naples, Florida. Cora, cool or uncool?
Sonny, I used to have a lot of cool Elvis records.
Oh, you're a big Elvis fan, huh?
There's no one better than Elvis Presley.
Can I ask you a question, Joan? Hey, go ahead, Shady. So what do you think about Elvis Costello?
He's an idiot.
Okay, thanks for your call. You know what? I agree with her. Elvis is better than Elvis. Well, which Elvis are you talking about? Elvis Presley. Well, was there any doubt on that? I don't know. When some people say Elvis, I wonder if they're talking about Costello. Well, I normally think of the king. Better than the queen, Joan. Up next, we go out to Ottawa, Canada. Gordy, what say you?
Oh, I remember going to the record store, eh? I would pay $5 for a brand new record, eh?
$5, what were you buying?
Oh, 45s, eh?
I used to get those for 75 cents a piece.
Well, I'm not as old as you, eh?
That may be true, but you're stupid. Next caller, Joan. All right, thanks for your call. Now over to Tokyo, Japan. What say you? And thanks for your call. Yeah, they haven't called much lately. Well, we don't have an affiliate in Japan. Well, why don't we have an affiliate in Japan? I don't know, Shady. Nobody's picked us up out there. Well, I think you should get us out in Japan. Godzilla might want to listen to us. We talk about him all the time. He might feel good about that. I mean, how many people talk about Godzilla? Well, there's a lot of people on YouTube that talk about Godzilla, Shady. Yeah, you're talking about a bunch of nobodies. Well, I'm kind of a nobody. Well, that may be true, but I'm a superstar that's super fly. Now let's move on to the next caller, Joan. Over to Chicago, Illinois. Peppa, cool or uncool?
Oh, snap. That's very cool. I used to go down and get the Michael Jackson music.
Oh, you like Michael Jackson, huh?
That's right. I love Michael Jackson. Just beat it.
Oh, God, now we got another singer.
That's right, honey. I loves to sing. Can I be in your bands?
Hell no.
Oh, snap. I can sing this song.
You might be able to sing, lady, but the stage ain't gonna be able to hold you. Goodbye. Shady, you're really rude to her. Well, we go way back. It's kind of like friend talk. Up next, over to Montreal, Quebec. Wilfred, cool or uncool?
I like the Lawrence Welk.
Okay, thanks for your call. Did Lawrence Welk ever make a record? Well, I would think so. He's pretty famous, Shady. I guess my grandparents used to watch that. Yeah, mine too. I was like, gee whiz, I gotta watch this, and then they'd watch Hee Haw. Yeah, that was a bad show. You ain't kidding, John. A bunch of hillbillies doing hillbilly stuff on television. That could warp anybody's mind. Well, we got any more callers, Shady? Nope, that's it, John. I'm out of here now. Talk to you later. Bye, everyone. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for yet another 60 minutes of sonic vibrations known as
The John LeBang Show.
I'd like to thank all of my affiliate stations across the world. Don't forget to go to my website. That's www.jlebang.com. Thank you all for listening and supporting the show. And until the vibrations of my vocal cords reach your ears again, and for some of you, that's in the next hour. This is John LeBang signing off from the Banger Studios. Well, how you feeling, Geek?
I'm a little discombobulated at the moment, but I should be back to work in a few days.
Well, that's good to hear, because the beer machine ain't working.
Well, how come?
Well, mainly because we don't have any ingredients.
Well, I'm gonna need them if I'm gonna make some more.
Oh, that's right, you don't know, but the stoner ain't back yet.
I thought you said I was out for 6 months.
Yeah, he's been gone that long too.
I wonder what happened to him.
Well, we got an idea. It ain't good.
What do you mean?
Let's just say Area 420 is on high alert. Well, you need anything before I go?
Can you wheel me to the bathroom?
All right, I'll take you.
But I'm gonna need somebody to take me back.
Well, then forget it.